Welcome to the FERPA Compliance video, brought to you by School Improvement Network. By the end of this video, you should be able to define FERPA and have an understanding of key regulations, as well as some helpful real-world examples. FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, is a federal law that protects the privacy of student education records. The law applies to all schools that receive funds under an applicable program of the U.S. Department of Education. So what are education records? They are records that are directly related to a student and maintained by an educational agency or institution, or by a party acting for the agency or institution. Just as importantly, what are not education records? Sole possession records, used as a personal memory aid. Law enforcement unit records, alumni records, and peer-graded papers before they are collected and recorded by a teacher. FERPA also protects personally identifiable information, such as a name, mother's maiden name, address, date of birth, social security number, or a parent or guardian's name. When can personally identifiable information be released without prior consent? When the information is considered directory information. A school designates information that it wishes to consider directory information. For example, a school may designate names, addresses, and phone numbers as directory information, but not email addresses. However, schools must annually notify their students' parent or guardian of the directory information and of the school's right to release that information. FERPA also affords a parent or guardian the right to have access to their children's education records, seek to have the records amended, and consent to the disclosure of personally identifiable information from education records, except as provided by law. According to FERPA, certain conditions allow for disclosure of a student's educational records without written permission. For example, school officials with legitimate educational interest, such as other schools to which a student is transferring, may view those records. A complete list of parties that may receive a student's educational records without written permission is listed in the guidebook for this segment. So now that we have talked about what FERPA is, let's look at a few scenarios. Can a teacher discuss a student's grades at a PLC meeting? Yes. School officials, including teachers within the agency or institution, have access to a student's education records without consent if they have legitimate educational interest in the information. So can a list of students' health issues be distributed to teachers or other staff? Nope. A school-wide health concerns distribution list violates FERPA and is not best practice. If individual staff or faculty members need to be informed of a student's condition, that student requires an ECP, Emergency Care Plan, listing symptoms to be alert for and the required response to those symptoms. However, it is permissible to share health-related data that does not contain information that makes the student's identity readily traceable. So when can schools share health information with other agencies within their state? There are some exceptions. School employees are required to report suspected abuse or neglect. FERPA does not override that responsibility. Some communicable diseases require emergent reporting, while other diseases represent a less imminent public health threat. If there is concern that a student may hurt self or others, or if someone is in imminent danger, no consent is required. Okay, last one. Can the school librarian create a list of names of students who have overdue library books and post it on the school website and school bulletin board? No. This is not permissible under FERPA. So let's quickly recap. FERPA is a federal law that protects student education records as well as personally identifiable information. An exception is when personally identifiable information is considered directory information. FERPA also affords parents and guardians the right to have access to their children's education records. Finally, there are certain conditions that allow for the disclosure of a student's educational records without written permission. Our main goal is to protect our students. FERPA can be confusing, So the best thing to do is to meet with your administrator if you have any questions. I hope you have found this video to be helpful in understanding FERPA. For more resources, websites, and information, please consult the guidebook for this segment.